and I wouldn't say to be on. Something that really fascinates me about him, and I'm like, I have this too, but there's just not a lot of us that do things like this, where the people who are loyal to Vic are just loyal to him, you know what I mean, to a fault. And I wouldn't say to a fault because it's Vic. If it was to a person that was malicious, I'd say maybe to a fault. That's probably not a very good phraseology, is it, John? Yeah. I'm loyal to a fault. Does that mean it's bad to be loyal? I don't know about that. But with Vic, you know, that's well placed, and I'm really interested by how he creates the influence that he creates. And I can see it when I get around. And what I see him doing is I see him going the extra mile for people. That's really all he's doing. He's serving people, you know. You know, and the things that I've seen that have been people that have produced extraordinary results and then kept people around have been people that have put other people first.
This is the Empower Network income disclosure. You can look it up, empowernetwork.com income. And thank God they do put this, because this is the facts. And I've always known the facts, but I often would overlook the facts. And even if you're working really hard, even if you're all in, if you can't afford the type of advertising that these 1%, 2% have in place, just think of that this is the average amount being earned on a monthly basis by the 1% is 1 million as the high mark, which will be Vic's monthly because he's the high, and the low will be still 25. You know, the lowest could be per month 25, and that's 1%. But those who are in this category of making this range all the way that high, the average amount being people making about this much. And those are people, do you see what their expenses are for traffic? Because blogging was supposed to be traffic attraction. We weren't supposed to have to pay for ads. Like that expense is hidden, so buried. And there's even often traffic co-ops available that are often you put in money that they paid a high ad in your team, and they'll just, you know, they'll mess with your clicks. Like, you don't get a fair amount of clicks quite often. Whoever's organizing, they can do whatever they want. They don't necessarily rotate your affiliate link as much as you should have it rotated. They're just taking your money to spend on their traffic expenses and then saying, oh yeah, well, you're going to get this many clicks. Yeah, well, maybe get clicks, maybe it's not even properly targeted traffic, but look at that, 1% makes that kind of money, right? And that's including Vic up there. 1%. This is for the year, okay? 30 plus, okay? 1%, it goes down here, right? 2% makes nowhere, they don't make it to 10K. 2% doesn't make it to 10K a month. That's on the high end of what they would make. This isn't even per month or what. This is annualized average amount. Average amount made. Low 25. High 90. Like, really, like, look at these numbers. This is for the year. What, right? Then this is the time frame of, like, when it's last posted. 45% of people make 75 bucks. Tell you what, I was the 31%. I was in this 16 months, 12 of those months totally focused, up at 6 a.m. with my mindset call with my team, on a webinar at 9 a.m. for like a year, right? And following through on blogging, sharing, having lots of technical difficulties, and it was not easy. Even though they say you don't need to put money into advertising, you can do lots of hustle and free advertising. But I mean, even I would be busy all day trying to do things manually, and then at night have like a webinar or a call you had to be on, and they're just overstuff your head with information and thinking, oh, it's all my fault, I'm just not doing it right yet. And, you know, I came in to learn traffic attraction for blogging, and yes, there are things I learned, but really, they tease you with results that you're going to get, and you think, I can do all this, I can scale up. I couldn't scale up. It was practically impossible. So take a good look at that. Less than 100. And okay, yeah, maybe there's a bunch of people not trying, but I was in this range, the 31%, and I was giving my all. I was all in. I was not financially all in because I could never afford it, but any little piece of scrap of money I could scrape up just to stay in the game was there. I would buy tools to try to help myself advertise. It wasn't working the way it was supposed to, the way initially you were told, like how it's such a viral blog. It was like practically impossible to get that blog out, especially if you didn't have advertising in place. People making this kind of money, which is the 1%, like, my God, please, like, I was totally ignoring this because you're just like so enthralled with their message and thinking you're getting so much value and you could make it to 1%. You're thinking that, but whew, look at only like 12% of people. That's a really minute amount of people making 1 to 5K. Like, I'm thinking this was per month, but here's the monthly income, yeah. So on average, 1 to 5K of what people are making monthly was $316, and that's 12% of people. So anyone blabbing about how they're getting luxury cars, they're quitting their job, they're most likely telling you a white lie, thinking they'll get you in and then they'll get that free car and that get rid of their job and stuff. Because I had some kid, I didn't even know his name, and he's like bragging about how his members are, you know, quitting their job, getting luxury cars. Well, you definitely don't have a team of people. You're not, like, are you serious? You're that 12% and you're saying that. We're practically encouraged to, you know, sort of white lie our ways into being rich. Like, no, you're not told to go and white lie. I won't say it like that. But there's this sensation of, no, yeah, like I am doing so well with this, and you don't want to tell people the bare facts, right? Like, nobody goes ahead and tries to do an ad with this screen, even though you by law have to tell this screen. But they blow it off like, oh yeah, you can look at our income disclosure. We're the only company that does income disclosure, and yeah, well, we make these ridiculous amounts, and they make it sound like, who cares? Who cares about the income disclosure? You can make it to the 1%. Then they do not reveal how much they're spending on traffic. They have over time said, oh yeah, I spend money on traffic, you're going to make double. But the thing is, then it may very well boil down to, yeah, that's your gross income per month. The highest amount, the average annualized, the average amount that people are making at the top is 18 grand, and that's not including their expenses. The odd person's making more than 18 grand a month. Okay, so even my direct sponsor was making 30 grand a month. He was up here and he was against doing advertising. When you ask him, he's like, no, don't pay for advertising. He refused to do it himself. And yet the guy had, you know, sales. I mean, he had years of sales in his pocket of knowing how to do sales. He liked doing phone calls, so he would close calls like phones. He used YouTube. That was his big thing to get audiences, use YouTube. He already had a big list when he came in. The thing about him, why he's earning such a high income, you know why? Because he had people under him who are paying loads of money for advertising, and he gets pass-ups. So he was making it to this level, to the top 1%. And you know what? He wasn't even on the stage that much. He isn't even in the public eye that much. He is a bit. He's really known because of his morning shows, his morning calls. But rarely would you see him actually on the stage making a speech. I thought for sure he'd be making a speech, right? But no, like the top 1%, the ones making the speech, it is real pick and choose. Unless they have a really like downtrodden story or something that won't be pointed out. Like, you know, there was a kid pointed out, he was 12 years old, he was making money. They put him on the stage. Like if you had a special story that they could, you know, expose and be like, look, you can do it too. Well, then you'd be on the stage. But like most people, and they're like, you're going to get on that stage. And it's like, okay. But how many people are like way down here giving it their all, giving all the money they can possibly, or even the ones that give all, like go borrow that money. Like there's so much to this that is just like nonsense. And just be looking at the facts, people. Like, yeah, let's dream on and think we could do this, but they're not telling you the whole story. That's the issue I have with this. And even if someone's average amount at the top level, the average amount people get at the top, at 1%, is monthly is $18K. What did they have to pay to get that $18K? That's a gross, not a net profit. That's not profit. That's including whatever they're paying for expenses for traffic. And they often pay like $10,000 for traffic a month to get that number.